Richard Bowers is renowned for his ability to get in front of CEOs and decision makers to pitch real estate deals, but his love for tennis isn't far behind.
You know, Richard has his rackets in his trunk along with his tennis shoes every day of his life.
We got to play a lot of tennis together. I remember you were very upset about your court. The angle was wrong. Then you said your sneakers were no good. You had bad sneakers.
I have the privilege of playing some with Dick, but if it's during the week, we have to wait to see if he can conclude a deal in his car, and we wait sometimes for half an hour or more. I can't get him to play any earlier than 5, despite the fact he'll be 69 on his next birthday.
As he enters his 70s, Dick Bowers has had a good life, starting off as a pretty good junior from Decatur, Illinois.
I want you to know that Dick Bowers was a very good tennis player. One of the best juniors in the country. He played in Kalamazoo, and he passed a couple of rounds, and that was quite an achievement in those days. He was also 5th in the state in high school singles.
From there, it was an athletic appointment to play tennis at West Point, where he and teammate Barry Conway led the Army squad to its first ever NCAA berth in 1968.
Certainly exciting times. It was Vietnam times, but we probably took our frustrations out on the tennis and squash courts, and Richard was as competitive as anyone that ever graced the library courts at West Point. One thing you could say about Dick back in those days, whatever it took to get a win, if Dick needed to be out there all day, he was out there all day.
Bowers was a decorated officer in the Vietnam War and came to Atlanta soon afterward to learn the real estate game. But the tennis bug stayed with him, where he became a ranked seniors doubles player along the way. His best asset? Not surprisingly, it had nothing to do with the continental grip or the half volley.
Dick's probably strongest feature, in my opinion, and it serves him well, not only on the tennis court but in business, was his determination.
He's very competitive. He gives no quarter. In fact, his nickname, like I say, he was very tenacious. His nickname is Bulldog Bowers.
Then in the early 1990s, Bowers was approached to support a new Atlanta tournament. And he did, his company becoming the first presenting sponsor. And from there, the Atlanta Senior Invitational has become one of the truly great national seniors events, now 25 years and counting.
Without the initial guidance and support from Richard, the tournament would not have come to be what it is today. Most of you know that the ASI, when we began, was really the only tournament of its type in the country. It was appreciated and deemed to be so successful that the United States Tennis Association created the Category 2 national event and duplicated our event around the country.
It's just well supported by the clubs and by, like I say, Dick being the premier sponsor. He's very generous and has kept the tournament growing, and it next to the BB&T, I would say it's probably the best tournament in Atlanta.
Richard Bowers certainly has become one of Atlanta's and the state's top tennis benefactors.
Is that blend, which we love to have in Georgia, of a very good player, but perhaps more importantly, a tremendous contributor to the game of tennis. From contribution angle, Dick has never asked for any credit. Matter of fact, he's done a lot anonymously.
I liken it to the NBA and the NFL to a certain extent, and that is that they look for franchise players, the go-to guys, and Atlanta and the state of Georgia are most fortunate that when Richard and Sandra made their decision to come to Atlanta and become a part of the fabric of our not only city and business, but the game of tennis, that Richard has been a go-to guy, a franchise guy for the game of tennis for the state of Georgia and Atlanta.
Richard Bowers, a 2015 inductee into the Georgia Tennis Hall of Fame.